Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the Paradigm AI Smoke Woods and Irons from Callaway.
Alejandro Tosti proving today that he packs a punch. Long putt here at the 12th on his way to 68. And he is one of 5 tied for the lead at the Texas Children's Houston Open. He arrived with a rep as a passionate player, at times a bit of a powder keg, by his own admission, impatient. Had some run-ins last year on the Korn Ferry Tour. 32 putts today. We'll see how he holds up in just his 12th start on the PGA Tour. Alejandro grew up in Argentina, watching the Masters at the age of 6. He grabbed the stick they used to move the charcoal under the grill. That was his club, and he'd hit an underarm deodorant ball. Said he broke a lot of glasses, but everything smelled good with that deodorant ball. As he got older, he would walk 7 blocks through the city of Rosario, northwest of Buenos Aires, hop on a bus, ride an hour to the golf course just to practice. I first saw him at the Latin Am. Infectious personality, obvious natural talent. He missed a short putt late in the inaugural, allowing Matias Dominguez, you saw him there, a teeth of the dog, to win. It cost Alejandro a Masters invitation. He went on to play at the University of Florida, first-team All-America, 2017 Southeast Conference individual champion under Coach J.C. Deacon. This guy has a world of ability. And joining us now is the man who coached Alejandro at the University of Florida, J.C. Deacon. J.C., thanks for being with us. So when you saw that Alejandro was going to be paired with Big Tony Finau for this third round, what'd you think?
Well, I know he's ready for the stage for sure. His game can hang with anyone, but you just never know with Ali. It's always going to be entertaining with his golf and his emotions, but I'm excited for him. He's been dreaming of this forever, and there's just no doubt in the world he's ready to play with the best.
So, JC, you were not surprised that he kind of stood up to Tony on the putting green at number 4, and why?
Yeah, I didn't see the incident. We're actually down at Calusa Pines in Naples on a little team practice trip, but I told the guys at the table, they were asking me before the round, how's he going to do? How's he going to hang in there? And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he's leading after the round and in contention on Sunday, because Alejandro's not scared of anyone. He's just not. When you get in between the ropes and everyone hits their first shot, he wants to beat you. And he probably wants to beat you more than anyone's ever wanted to beat you before. And it's a war out there for him. And I think that rubs some people the wrong way. And maybe that came out a little bit today, but he's a fierce competitor, and he's not going to give you anything, and he's going to try and, do whatever he can to win.
Chip on his shoulder. You and I have spoken before, in part because of where he came from in Argentina. What can you tell us about his background growing up in Rosario?
Yeah, Ali didn't come from much, and I think his family and him had to fight for everything they had, and Ali was surrounded by a lot of poverty at times, and it's been amazing watching him. Every time he'd fly back to Argentina, he'd ask me for anything we could come up with: old golf balls, old clubs, shirts, and shoes. And I'd always ask him, like, man, no one's going to want those. Those are old. Someone's worn those shoes 50 times. And he said, Coach, you have no idea. Someone's going to think this is the greatest thing they've ever had. So he grew up differently. I don't think maybe learned some of the more finer points in the etiquette side of the game that he's had to pick up while he's gotten over here. And Ali he knows how to fight. He knows how to compete, and he believes in his game and himself. And, I think the world's going to start to learn that pretty quickly here.
How do you explain, Coach, some of those disciplinary issues that he had on the Korn Ferry Tour last year?
Yeah, Ali gets into his own world on the golf course. And I think, he's focused on himself and maybe doesn't think about those around him as much as we would have liked or some other people would have liked. And I think, that in time, he's going to grow up and going to be forced to mature. And, we have such a great game. And I think what we all love about the game so much is the respect we have for its past and its history and for our playing partners and everyone having an equal opportunity to win. And I think he's learning it the hard way and learning it slowly. I remember I've looked back at some pictures of myself. I had some very dark hair when Ali got to college, and it's very gray now, and he's responsible for a few of them.
You had coffee with Ali just before he went out to Hawaii earlier this year for the tournament out there. What'd you tell him?
Yeah, we sat down at Miapa, his favorite restaurant in Gainesville, and I just reminded him, that the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour is about the players, in my opinion. And, he's going to have to find a way to get along with the guys and for them to be able to, maybe not enjoy a round, but be able to play their own game and be able to compete while he's there. And he can't be a distraction. That's just not fair to the other guys and the tour in general. And he understood that. But at the same time, he said, Coach, I'm not out here to make friends. And I'm out here to win and to be the best I can be. And he meant it when he said that.
How big is his talent?
He's the best player I've ever seen. It's video game like when he's on. He can control his ball that well.
He moves at miles, and he's only 5'6", Coach. How does he generate that power?
Wonderful technique. He's just phenomenal. He's actually really, really strong too. And it's funny. I remember one of the first stories with Tosti. We were hitting a lob wedge of all clubs, and I said, Tosti, how far would your max be with that lob wedge? And he turned around and looked at me and said, Coach, I can hit this as far as I want. And so he's got a lot of power, a lot of skill, and we're all super excited to see how it unfolds tomorrow on the big stage.
I've known Ali since the inaugural Latin America Amateur Championship. We just showed that highlight. He finished second there. There's a sweetness to Alejandro Tosti. He has that, as I said before, the Sevi energy. I think a little combative, and I actually think people are thirsting for a little bit of that in this era of so many good guys. But again, there's a sweetness to Alejandro beneath that. Is that how you've gotten to know him through the years, Coach?
Yeah, he's a fascinating young man because if you don't threaten what he's trying to do, which is win golf tournaments, whether that's kids or older people, he is. I've had a lot of people in Gainesville tell me he's the nicest player that they've ever met on any of our teams ever. And he will charm young people and old people. But if you're a competitor of his and threaten what he's trying to do, he has an ability to shut that off. And he's not going to be very friendly between the lines. And he's made that very clear. He's not out there to make any friends. He's out there to take care of business. And there's two very distinct sides to him. And I guess, not a lot of people get to see that sweet side you're talking to.
Coach, you have this reporter suitably fired up for the final round to watch the Argentine out of the University of Florida. Coach J.C. Deacon, such a good program. Thanks, Coach, for jumping on with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich. Best of luck to Tosti tomorrow.
Yeah, the toaster, as we like to call him. He was popping today, that's for sure, and he's 9 under, one of 5 players tied at the Texas Children's Houston Open. Fascinating character. He's right in the thick of it in Texas.